Welcome, brave souls, to a disturbing true crime case from the nightmare maestro. Tonight's story might make you think twice about that convenient app on your phone. After all, what's more terrifying than being trapped in a moving metal box with a complete stranger who has other plans for your destination? Remember, the most dangerous predators aren't the ones lurking in dark alleys anymore. They're the ones hiding behind perfect ratings, verified profiles, and friendly profile pictures. What you're about to hear is based on real events. Names have been changed, but the horror remains all too real. The fluorescent lights of Atlanta International's Terminal B cast unforgiving shadows across Julie Miller's exhausted face as she checked her phone for the 10th time in as many minutes. 11:42 p.m. The terminal stood nearly empty, her heels echoing off the polished floors like a countdown, each click emphasizing how alone she was in this vast, sterile space. 5 days of back-to-back meetings in Chicago had left her drained, her once crisp navy blazer now wrinkled from hours spent in cramped airplane seats. And conference rooms, the thunderstorms that had paralyzed O'Hare's operations, were now just distant flashes on the horizon, but their impact had cascaded through the day's flight schedule like falling dominoes. Julie's original 8:30 p.m. arrival had stretched into a nightmare of delays, gate changes, and a missed connection that left her among the last wave of delayed passengers trickling through the terminal. Her reflection in the dark windows looked ghostly dark circles under her eyes that even her expensive concealer couldn't quite hide, shoulder-length brown hair falling out of its formerly perfect bun, the slight smudge of mascara beneath her right eye that she hadn't had time to fix during her sprint between gates in Charlotte, the thought of her usual parking spot in long-term parking, a 15-minute walk in heels that had already tortured her feet for 16 hours, made her wince visibly. Like millions of other travelers before her, Julie turned to the convenience of her Rideshare app. The profile that appeared seemed reassuring. Jeffrey, 4.8 stars, 3 minutes away. A middle-aged man with graying temples and wire-rimmed glasses smiled professionally from his driver photo. The ratings told a story of reliability, great conversation, very professional driver, safe and smooth ride. 5 years of consistent 5-star reviews painted a picture of dependability. Security footage would later show Julie standing at the pickup point, maintaining her professional composure despite her exhaustion. She did everything by the book, checking the license plate against her app, verifying the driver's face matched the profile, even sending her sister a quick text about catching a ride. The camera captured a moment where she hesitated, hand resting on the door handle, as a group of laughing airport employees passed by, the last people who would see her alive. Perhaps some ancient survival instinct, buried under layers of modern convenience and digital trust, tried to warn her. But technology has a way of dulling those primal alerts, teaching us to trust algorithms over intuition, ratings over instinct. In that final moment of hesitation, Julie could have changed everything. The airport taxi stand was just 50 yards away. Her car, though distant, waited safely in its designated spot. But exhaustion and convenience won out over caution, as they so often do in our algorithm-driven world. She pulled open the door and slid into the back seat, unknowingly crossing a threshold from which there would be no return. The black sedan that picked up Julie matched its profile perfectly. A 2021 Toyota Camry, midnight black, with the mandated rideshare stickers displayed precisely in the lower corners of the windshield and rear window. Later investigation would reveal how meticulously the vehicle had been prepared. The interior had been professionally detailed that afternoon, leaving behind the faintest trace of industrial cleaner beneath a layer of artificial pine scent. The seats were wrapped in factory-standard black leather, unmarked and immaculate. Even the floor mats had been recently replaced, leaving no trace of previous passengers. Jeffrey appeared exactly as advertised, down to the smallest detail. His wire-rimmed glasses caught the terminal's fluorescent light at precisely the right angle to obscure his eyes, while maintaining an appearance of transparency. The graying temples that gave him an air of distinguished professionalism were later discovered to be carefully maintained with professional-grade hair dye. His clothing, a crisp white shirt, charcoal slacks, and polished black shoes, matched the standardized dress code recommended by rideshare companies. The sedan's temperature was set to a precise 72 degrees, the kind of small detail that spoke to professionalism and courtesy. Julie settled into the back seat, her designer laptop bag and small carry-on placed carefully beside her. The car's interior cameras, standard safety equipment required by the rideshare company, captured her following the usual passenger routine, buckling her seatbelt, double-checking the route on her phone, sending a final text to her sister. That text message would later become crucial evidence. Finally heading home. Driver seems normal. Jeffrey, black Camry, should be about 30 miles. It was the kind of message safety-conscious women routinely sent, a digital breadcrumb meant to ensure safety. The timestamp read 11:47 p.m. In the coming weeks, investigators would pore over these final digital traces, noting how the organization had anticipated and accounted for every standard safety precaution. The first 10 minutes of the ride appeared perfectly normal on surveillance footage. Traffic cameras tracked the sedan as it navigated the airport's complex exit system, merging smoothly onto the highway. Julie could be seen in the back seat, head tilted toward her phone, her last connection to the outside world. The sedan's movements matched the GPS route displayed in her app perfectly, each turn logged and time-stamped in the rideshare company's servers. 20 minutes into the ride, the first subtle signs of deviation appeared in the digital record. Traffic cameras caught the sedan missing its programmed exit, heading instead toward Atlanta's industrial district. This area, a sprawling maze of warehouses and abandoned factories, was notorious for cellular dead zones, a fact that would later prove crucial to investigators trying to piece together the timeline of events. The rideshare app's logs tell a story of growing unease through Julie's digital actions. 3 attempts to share her location with her sister, 2 failed calls to 911, and multiple refreshes of the route map as the blue lines showing their path began to deviate further from her home address. Each failed connection attempt pinged off different cell towers, creating a breadcrumb trail that investigators would later use to reconstruct the vehicle's actual route. Jeffrey maintained his professional demeanor throughout, offering plausible explanations for each turn. Construction on the main route, a traffic accident on the alternate path, roadwork that hadn't yet been updated in the GPS system. Each explanation was delivered in the same mild, practiced tone that had put Julie at ease at the airport. The car's dashcam footage, recovered weeks later from a damaged hard drive, showed him maintaining perfect 10-2 hand position on the steering wheel, making each turn with textbook precision. The chemical smell that Julie had initially dismissed as cleaning products grew stronger as they drove deeper into the industrial district. Air samples, taken from similar vehicles used by the organization, would later reveal it to be a sophisticated compound, part sedative, part short-term memory suppressant, designed to be dispersed gradually through the vehicle's ventilation system. By the time Julie realized something was wrong, the drug had already begun to take effect. The car's final appearance on camera showed it turning onto Warehouse Row at 12:17 a.m. The grainy surveillance footage, enhanced by FBI forensics, revealed chilling details that weren't apparent at first glance. 3 other vehicles, all dark sedans with rideshare stickers, were already parked in the shadows of an abandoned medical supply warehouse. Their drivers, dressed identically to Jeffrey, moved with practiced efficiency, preparing for the sedan's arrival. The scene was hauntingly similar to another incident 3 months earlier. Lauren Chen, a tech executive from San Francisco, had almost exposed the operation during a pickup from Atlanta International. She'd grown suspicious when her driver took an unusual route and had managed to send an emergency signal through a secondary phone hidden in her jacket. The organization's response had been ruthlessly efficient. Within minutes, their monitoring systems detected the emergency signal. The driver smoothly explained that construction was causing GPS issues and diverted back to a main road. Lauren's ride ended normally at her hotel, the driver's pleasant smile never wavering. She logged a minor complaint about the route deviation, but gave him 4 stars, exactly what the organization wanted. A near miss handled so professionally that even the passengers' suspicions were quieted. The incident had led to protocol improvements. Now, all operational vehicles were equipped with signal jammers, activated only in specific dead zones. Drivers carried backup phones broadcasting false GPS data. The organization learned and adapted from every close call, their methods becoming more refined with each passing month. In that final video frame of Julie's ride, she can be seen slumped against the window, unconscious from the sedative that had been slowly filling the cabin. Her phone, still clutched in her hand, showed a final attempted text message that never sent. Wrong route. Something's wrong. Call. The message remained in her phone's draft folder, discovered weeks later when the device was found in a dumpster 20 miles away. The organization's efficiency became apparent as investigators reconstructed the next few minutes. Each team member had a specific role, choreographed with surgical precision. One handled transportation, another managed digital traces, while others dealt with physical evidence. They operated like a well-oiled machine, suggesting years of refined experience in similar operations. The warehouse itself had been carefully chosen and modified. Loading bay doors, appearing rusted shut from the outside, opened silently on well-oiled tracks. Interior cameras were positioned to create blind spots exactly where the vehicles would park. Even the building's power consumption was carefully regulated to avoid drawing attention through unusual utility patterns. While Julie was being transferred from the sedan to the warehouse, a sophisticated digital operation was already underway. The rideshare app's GPS data continued to show the vehicle following its intended route to her apartment complex. The driver's phone, carefully synchronized with pre-recorded location data, created a perfect digital alibi. At precisely 12:47 a.m., according to rideshare company records, Julie's ride ended successfully at her apartment complex. A 5-star review was posted from her account. Great driver, smooth ride, got me home safe. The message was crafted to match her previous reviews in tone and content, right down to her habit of using exclamation points. Similar reviews appeared on Jeffrey's profile throughout the night, each crafted to appear legitimate, each posted from different locations around Atlanta. Meanwhile, Julie's phone was being used to create a trail of digital breadcrumbs. Her social media accounts showed normal activity, liking a few posts, responding to comments, even sharing a complaint about flight delays. Her work email received and appeared to read several messages. Her credit card was used to make small, routine purchases at places she frequently visited: a coffee shop near her office, a parking garage she used regularly. By sunrise, Jeffrey's driver profile had vanished from the platform, replaced by another equally perfect digital facade. The sedan, its license plates now changed, was already being prepared for another airport pickup. And Julie Miller had joined the growing list of passengers who stepped into a rideshare vehicle and vanished into the darkness, leaving behind only digital ghosts and encrypted data trails for investigators to follow. Detective Maya Rodriguez stood before her evidence wall, coffee growing cold in her hand as she studied the patterns emerging from the chaos. Julie Miller's corporate headshot held the central position, surrounded by string-linked documents, screenshots, and photos of 12 other victims. Each disappearance followed the same meticulous pattern, yet left behind maddeningly few physical clues. The detective's office in Atlanta PD's Major Crimes Division had become a command center of sorts. 3 monitors displayed different aspects of the investigation, one showing surveillance footage timelines, another tracking digital footprints, and a third displaying a complex network map of connections between disappearances. Every surface was covered with case files and forensic reports, each adding another piece to a puzzle that seemed to grow larger with every discovery. What made the case particularly haunting was the organization's mastery of digital deception. Julie's online presence remained active for weeks after her disappearance, but in ways that challenged traditional investigation methods. Her LinkedIn profile announced a sudden career change to a Singapore-based tech startup, a company that existed on paper but proved to be an elaborate shell corporation. Instagram posts showed carefully curated stock photos of Asian business districts, each tagged with inspirational quotes and lifestyle updates that matched Julie's writing style perfectly. The timestamps on these posts revealed the true sophistication of the operation. While Julie was supposedly posting poolside photos from a Singapore hotel, cellular data placed the uploads at an abandoned office complex in Atlanta's industrial district. Similar patterns emerged with other victims. Their digital lives continued, crafted by unseen hands to discourage investigation and confuse law enforcement. The organization had even managed to fake video calls with some victims' families, using deepfake technology so advanced it initially fooled even forensic analysts. The breakthrough came in June 2024 from an unexpected source. A routine fire inspection of an abandoned medical supply warehouse led to the discovery that would crack the case wide open. Behind false walls and beneath reinforced concrete, investigators found evidence of an industrial-scale criminal operation that left even veteran detectives shaken. The facility was a study in contradictions: state-of-the-art medical equipment housed in a decaying building, sophisticated computer systems running on carefully diverted power lines, professional-grade cleaning stations next to crude holding cells. Forensics teams discovered traces of the same sedative compound found in Julie's last text description, along with evidence of large-scale production facilities. The investigation uncovered another disturbing element: a sophisticated monitoring center hidden within the facility. Multiple screens showed live feeds from airports across the country, tracking potential targets through facial recognition software tied into public security cameras. One screen displayed what investigators would later identify as a near-miss tracking system, a database of close calls and suspicious passengers who had almost uncovered the operation. The system included detailed reports of how these situations were handled. One file documented Lauren Chen's case in detail, including transcripts of her complaint to the rideshare company and subsequent social media posts about the experience. The organization had monitored her digital footprint for weeks afterward, ensuring their containment protocols had worked. Similar files detailed dozens of other close calls, each annotated with lessons learned and protocol adjustments. Document recovery revealed the true scope of the organization's operations. Detailed profiles of hundreds of potential targets filled encrypted databases, all business travelers, all frequent users of rideshare services. The organization had been mining public data, corporate databases, and social media profiles to create detailed patterns of when and where vulnerable travelers would be available. Their algorithm for selecting targets was chillingly precise, taking into account factors like flight patterns, social connections, and digital footprint. Most disturbing were the medical supplies, surgical equipment, preservation chemicals, and shipping manifestos suggesting connections to black market organ trafficking networks across Southeast Asia. The operation combined modern technology with ancient criminal enterprises, using digital sophistication to feed a dark underground trade that generated millions in cryptocurrency transactions. The facility's computer systems showed signs of recent activity, but had been professionally wiped. However, one recovered hard drive contained fragments of a larger database, passenger profiles, flight patterns, and work schedules. The organization had created an algorithm to identify ideal targets, solo travelers, minimal family connections, jobs that required frequent travel. Julie Miller had fit their profile perfectly. The investigation expanded rapidly once the warehouse evidence came to light. International law enforcement agencies uncovered similar facilities in major cities across 3 continents. Each operation used the same combination of rideshare infiltration, digital deception, and sophisticated medical trafficking. The organization had created a modern slave trade hidden behind a veneer of technological convenience and trusted apps. Julie Miller's body has never been found, but investigators traced her likely path through the criminal network. Security camera footage from Hong Kong's Port District showed shipping containers matching those described in the warehouse manifestos being loaded onto cargo vessels bound for underground medical facilities in Southeast Asia. Temperature logs from these containers indicated they were maintained at precise levels required for organ preservation. The true scope of the organization remains unknown. Conservative estimates suggest hundreds of victims across major U.S. cities, but the actual number could be much higher. Their technical sophistication points to insider knowledge of rideshare platforms, possibly indicating infiltration at corporate levels. Several mid-level employees at major rideshare companies were later discovered to have connections to the organization, helping to create and maintain the perfect digital covers for their operators. Today, Julie's case has become required study at FBI training programs, a cautionary tale about how technology can be weaponized against its users. Her social media accounts remain suspended in digital limbo, Facebook and Instagram pages frozen in time, showing a carefully crafted fiction of a life that never was. Her last genuine post, a complaint about flight delays at Chicago O'Hare, sits like a digital tombstone, marking the moment where reality ends and the organization's deception begins. The rideshare industry has implemented new safety protocols in response to these revelations: biometric driver verification, real-time video monitoring, improved emergency features. But critics argue these changes are merely digital bandages on a deeper wound. Our willingness to trust strangers based on star ratings and profile pictures, our acceptance of algorithm-driven safety over human instinct. In Atlanta International's Terminal B, where Julie Miller took her last known ride, security cameras still watch thousands of tired travelers as they summon rides on their phones. Each night, dozens of black sedans line up at the pickup points, their drivers smiling professionally, their profiles showing perfect ratings. Most are legitimate, hard-working individuals providing a valuable service. But somewhere in the digital ether, new accounts are being created, new identities crafted, as organizations like the one that took Julie adapt and evolve. The case remains open. Detective Rodriguez keeps Julie's photo on her desk, a reminder that in our interconnected world, the line between convenience and catastrophe is often just a finger swipe away. And somewhere on dark web forums and encrypted channels, similar operations continue to refine their methods, turning our trust in technology against us, one ride at a time. Subscribe for more chilling tales from the Nightmare Maestro